Alrighty, everybody. It is currently Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025, and I'm coming at you live from your mother's hairy vagina. And, I recently made a fool of myself again. Again. Twice this week. I've made a complete and utter fool of myself. The first one, was far more embarrassing than the second one. The second one was I called into this show called Low Value Mail, hosted by Danny Polish Cuck or whatever the guy's name is. And it's one of those things, right? Like it's almost like when you get in an argument with yourself in the shower, or you like think about an argument that you got in with somebody and then you like replay it in your head in the shower and you're like, this is what I'm going to say when I get back. That's kind of the mentality I was in when I called into the show, except it wasn't an argument. I was just trying to say a funny thing and then say the name of my podcast, but I did not understand the nature of the show. That was the fundamental issue, is that I had no fucking idea what was going on with the show. I watched like the whole lead up and he was talking about, I don't know, Obama and Trump and the WNBA and stuff, what everyone else is talking about. And yeah, I just called in and had zero idea what was going on. And it's like getting in an argument with yourself in the shower, and then you go and try to use that in real life, right? It's just not going to work out that way. The actual person that's in front of you is not the same that the person is not the same as the person that's in your head that you're arguing with in the shower. And so I said like one funny fucking thing, and then I then I like stumbled for like the rest of the 5 minutes, and by the end of it, he was just like, "Okay, man, yeah, see you next." Just a complete fool of myself, dude. And I didn't even get the name of my podcast off. I don't think he like cut me off on purpose because he was like, "Do you have anything else to say?" And I was like, "Nah, I don't got anything else to say." And after that, I was like, "Shout out Independent," and then he cut me off, which is it's fine. I'm not upset about it, but it is made an absolute fool of myself. I'm a true court jester. I really am a court jester. And also, I, I feel like at this point in that podcast or show or whatever you want to call it, at this point in its lifespan, it has such a dedicated fan base that like me trying to come in is like me trying to like join a conversation between like five lifelong friends. Is me trying to butt in being like, yeah, I did see the game last night. You guys see the game last night? Like I feel feel like that's what it is at this point. But I made a complete fool of myself. And I wasn't even the type of embarrassed where you go stupid, stupid, dumb, dumb, dumb. I wasn't even like that. I was just like sitting in my chair with my hands folded, just like, yeah, yeah. You just did that. You fucking idiot. You just did it like that. But hey, is what it is, man. The first time I did this podcast, I completely fucking embarrassed myself, and I continue to embarrass myself to this day, even on this podcast. So I'm not too fucking worried about it. But I was bordering on like hitting myself in the head and going, "Stupid idiot, you don't know how to do anything." Just like full on fucking, toddler rant type of shit. Or not even toddler rant, toddler tantrum. It was gonna be completely incoherent, just me being like, you don't know how to do anything. I made like one joke, the most basic joke of all time. It was the theme of the episode, or one of the topics he talked about was how Obama, like Trump wants to put Obama in jail or whatever for his part in, the Russian collusion hoax that Obama allegedly like propagated against. I don't know if "propagated's" the right word, but like brought against Trump. Oh, Trump wants to put Obama in jail, and I my joke, which was to it. In fairness to myself, it did get a little bit of a chuckle from him. The joke was Obama would be pretty hyped to go to jail because he's been dealing with Big Mike's BBC for about 20 years now. And that was it. The rest of it was me like interrupting him and then being like, Okay, yeah, that was the that was the whole rest of it." And I didn't use my real name either because I don't use my real name on here. I'm certainly not going to do it on that show. With with what I understood from watching about 30 minutes of that show, I'm sure Danny Polish Cuck is fine with it, like being associated with it because he is a successful like comedian in his own right. I'm not, dude. I'm in college, right? I can't be associated with this show. Immediately, immediately to start the show, he like he starts talking about this controversy where some guy said the F slur, Faggot, on his show, and it's like a call-in show, right? And this, so I guess this fucking dude got banned from it, and he was like, "You guys can say anything you want. You guys can say the N word, and you do. You guys regularly say the N word on this." And so I was like, "Yeah, dude, I can't. I cannot be associated with this. You know what I mean? I had to be a bit of a CIA agent, a bit of a Mossad agent. Where I sympathize with the cause or I empathize with it. I don't know the difference between those two words, but I understand what's going on here, but I just can't be associated with it. I can, as of right now, I cannot. Especially like at a college in a college town, right? Like this isn't a fucking community college that's just like a random giant building in the middle of the suburbs. This is like a college in a liberal college town. So e- even if it was just my first name, I don't have a super common first name, right? It's not like John. I think I use Jimmy because some people call me Jimmy sometimes. Um, which that I would you would definitely know who I was if I explained why people call me Jimmy. Hey, is what it is, man. Completely fucking embarrassed myself, dude. Completely stupid, idiot, dumb, moron. Why are you so fucking stupid? I like literally. This is how fucking like retarded I am or just like generally inept as I am as a person, right? I literally had like a fucking like dream that night where I for some reason started listening to this podcast and I was like, you didn't say fucking anything funny the entire time. that's that's like what I went to bed thinking about. So if you ever wanted to know truly how stupid I am, like maybe you listen to this and you listen to me explain quantum physics or whatever, and you're like, this guy, he he he's just not academically smart. No, I'm just not smart when it comes to anything. All right, I'm not like socially smart. Just a general moron. I'm generally moronic. That's the diagnosis they would give me. If this was like the 1800s or whatever, my parents would take me to the doctor, and you know what the doctor would say? He's a mongoloid. He's a cretin. You got a real, you got a real unevolved human on your hand. A bit of an Australopithecus here, a Homo erectus. That's what we're dealing with. So yeah, I just wanted to start off that episode or this episode talking about that controversy. You know what I mean? This is a major controversy. It's causing ripples. Ripples in the community. He didn't even care. He did not care. I'm sure I wasn't the most ridiculous person on that episode. There was one guy who called in before me, like this Irish guy. I don't even know if he was Irish. He said he was James from Ireland. I don't believe that. The guy didn't sound Irish at all. I know people in Northern Ireland do sound pretty fucking American when they talk, but this guy did not sound Irish at all. And he was just like ranting and like calling the guy like a dictator. Like actually, not like a joke, not like being like, dude, you're a fucking dictator for taking away our boy. And he was ranting about the guy who got banned for saying the F slur on the podcast or on the call-in show or whatever. And it was just that did make me feel slightly better about myself, just the fact that I wasn't ranting about a guy who I've never met before in my entire life. But it's still it's the thing about it is that guy was good at what he was doing. He was good at being like a guy that was like calling in to just rant and lose his mind about someone he's never met before getting banned from a call-in show. He did a good job at that. I did not do a good job at what I was trying to do, but look, man, fuck it. Fuck it. At a certain point, there's nothing you can do about it. I can't do anything about it now. Can't redeem myself. I never will redeem myself. I should just commit full on seppuku. I should commit podcaster seppuku and just become one of those people that reads Reddit stories on podcasts, and I'll probably become a millionaire off that. But you know, commit, commit. I don't know, comedy suicide. But there's not really a comedic aspect of me to commit suicide about because I'm really not that funny. But hey, hey, fuck it, man. Fuck it. What else am I supposed to do? But this episode wasn't inspired by that at all. This was came to came to me not in a dream necessarily, but in a trance-like state. Yesterday, I was pounding off. I mean, pounding, 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 pound, 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 pounding off. Beating my dick into oblivion. Just pound, 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 pound. Just beating my dick off, and I was feeling I was feeling in a MILF mood. That's just what I was going through that day. I don't know what it was, but I was feeling like let's look at some MILFs. You know what I mean? So that's what I was feeling, and I go to X videos and I go to Reddit as well, because Reddit is very good if you want to find some nice niche stuff. It's very good for finding niche stuff. Some of the niche stuff you find on there isn't great to look at. It is inevitably, no matter what you look up on Reddit, you will end up finding cuck porn, and it will, I'm a young guy, and so I got a high libido, a high sex drive, and so it definitely gets me sauced. Right? But I could hop right back in the game, you know what I mean? I'm Rocky. I'm Rocky. I can get knocked down and have like an 8-second count, and I can get up and keep fighting. That's what being a young dude is. But that would be my main gripe against Reddit. You're just inevitably gonna come across some sort of cuck porn. And so I think I ended up hopping over to the X videos real quick and searching on there for some MILF stuff, and I ventured into GILF territory. And people might hear that and be like, ew, gross, like nursing home bitches and shit like that. But here's the thing. And this is going to be, people aren't going to like to hear this. The the MILF porn that you see, those aren't MILFs, dude. Those are 30-year-old women who are whores and have had kids, so technically they are mothers. But they're not MILFs, all right? They're filled with plastic surgery. Literally, their entire body is silicone at this point. They're about 90% silicone, just filled with microplastics. However many microplastics you think you have in your blood or your brain or your organs or whatever right now, these women, these MILFs, quote unquote, that have that have to be have to have 10 times more than you at the very least, maybe 10 to 20 times more, maybe fucking 100% more. Like these, that was retarded. 100 times more, not 100%. Whatever, man. I'm a fucking loser. Embarrassed myself on a fucking podcast. But anyway, and so I ended up venturing into the GILF territory to find what I needed to find. Because all the MILF stuff is like, these are just 30-year-olds who happen to have children. They're not MILFs, all right? When I say MILF, I'm looking for a little bit of wrinkles. You know what I mean? Not too much. I'm not, like I said, I'm not talking about nursing home bitches. I'm not talking about, a fucking 70-year-old lady with saggy ass, pit bull titties, like a pit bull that's had like 12 litters of puppies, right? I'm not talking about that type of, I'm just talking about a little bit of wrinklage, a little bit of cellulite going on, a little bit of, you know, just a general someone that looks like they've had experience, a little bit of wear and tear in their life. Not too much. I'm not, like I said, I'm not looking for someone that looks like they're wearing the skin of another human, almost like a human that weighs 400 pounds more than them. I'm not I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking for actual gilfs. You know what I mean? I'm not looking for ladies that bake cookies and shit. That's not what I'm after. I'm after for a woman in her 40s or 50s that's got a little bit of wrinklage and a little bit of cellulite and a little bit of sag here and there. I don't know. It was just what I was feeling in the mood for. And really, when you put it into perspective, doesn't even come close to even the worst video on there. So don't come after me, all right? Don't fucking don't put me on trial, dude. Don't go full fucking McCarthyism and try to crucify me, all right? You don't know my fucking life story. But I I I needed to venture into that territory. I needed to go deep, deep into the heart of GILF territory in order to find what I needed. Just because these people that claim to be MILFs, or these people that claim to like MILFs or whatever, they don't. They don't like older looking women, which is what I was after. And I feel like, I don't know if there's a lot of people that can empathize with this situation, right? I don't know if that's true. I don't regularly talk about, I don't regularly have like critical Socratic discussions about the validity of porn categories. It's not a common experience in my life. I'm sure it's happened on multiple occasions, but it's not a super, super common experience in my life. And so that was the ultimate revelation that inspired this episode, because I was just like, these are not MILFs. You know what I mean? These chicks are like barely not 20. Like that's, or barely not in their 20s, I should say. And so that for me was like, it was kind of a wake up moment. It was kind of a come to God moment. And it just made me realize ultimately that these people, they don't like what they say they like. It's like those people that are like, I love coffee. I love drinking coffee. And they go to Starbucks and they order basically a fucking milkshake. You know what I mean? They order a double caramel like frappuccino with like whipped cream and a cherry on top, and it's like, bitch, go down to the fucking go down to the 1950s soda pop diner and order you a fucking vanilla milkshake, because that's basically what you're getting, right? Or it's like those people that are like, I love traveling, and they go on fucking Disney cruises or whatever. It's like, that's not it, right? It technically a double fucking frappuccino with whipped cream and caramel or whatever, technically there is coffee in that. Technically, some people would call it a coffee. A Disney cruise, technically you are traveling. But technically, when you drive 45 minutes to the office when you're going into work, or 45 minutes to the job site or whatever, you are technically traveling there too. So it's not, these people don't enjoy what they say they enjoy. They don't, fundamentally, it's different, right? Like traveling is going to, like, I don't know, St. Peter's Basilica or whatever, or it's going on a boat upriver into like the heart of the Congo. It's shit like that, or it's going to a country where you don't speak the language at all and it's not touristy at all, and you're just like venturing out and trying to find, new experiences in life or whatever. It's not going on a Disney cruise with you and your fat fucking husband and riding around in your mobility scooters and drinking virgin pina coladas. That's not what traveling is. All right, that's not what anyone means when they say traveling. When people say they like coffee, right? When those fucking hipsters and, wherever hipsters live now, I don't know. I feel like they're probably still in Brooklyn and Portland. Austin is probably becoming a pretty big hipster city at this point. When those people say they like coffee, as much as you might hate them as human beings, as annoying as they probably are, they do genuinely enjoy like the pure coffee experience. They genuinely enjoy just like straight hot water through the beans, maybe a little bit of sugar, maybe a little bit of creamer to bring out the taste a little bit. But those people, they actually like coffee. The people that travel to, I don't know, fucking Nepal to go talk to like Hindu monks or whatever, like those people, they enjoy traveling. And so I feel like, and hey, I like MILFs. Okay, it is what it is. I like walking around like a Target or a Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or whatever and spying a nice hot mom. All right, it's what I like. I'm not perving, you know what I mean? I'm it's a quick glance here or there. Maybe not a quick glance. I don't know. I'm not the most self-aware person ever. I might be like full on staring at them, just standing like Michael Myers or whatever with my legs like locked out, just like leaning forward, just like it might look like that. But I don't know. I like MILFs. I like a nice, slightly older looking lady. I don't know. It is what it is. It's not, I wouldn't say it's my favorite, type of lady, but I would be lying if I said I didn't enjoy it. I would be lying if I said I'm not a bit of a connoisseur when it comes to that game. I'd be lying if I said that wasn't true. And so I feel like I'm maybe a little more qualified to talk about it because I do truly enjoy it and I fundamentally understand what it's about. Whereas other people don't. They say MILF. Really, MILF is anything that's not a teen to these people, which is, or not in her early to mid 20s. Right? And when I say teen, I mean legal, like 19 to like 23, which I guess isn't technically a teen, but you guys know what I mean. It's anything that isn't a very young woman, And so I feel like I understand the game a little bit more than some of these people, and it kind of goes back to the hub categories ranking, where it was like I put MILF pretty high, but that was my own personal experience with it, and also the legacy of it. You know what I mean? It goes back generations and generations. The classic scene that everyone thinks of when they think of, the pornog. They think of like a nice pool boy coming in and being like, "Hey, your pool needs to be cleaned. Yeah, I need some extra chlorine in there. I'm gonna need an extra long pool stick to get it out, to get all those leaves out of there. You got a real dirty pool on your hands." Just a retarded guy with a giant cock, just fucking, cleaning that pool and then cleaning that pussy out. And so I don't know. I'm not going to go back and change the ranking based off what I know now. And that's also another thing I want to talk about in this episode. This isn't an all-timer. We're not going back to the 90s or whatever. We're talking about, these ladies in their current form. That's what we're talking about here, because when you start comparing generations, that's where we get into a little bit of trouble. It's like comparing Wilt Chamberlain to Shaquille O'Neal. It's like the game the game has fundamentally changed since then. And, the plastic surgery has become a lot less noticeable. Just a little bit of Botox, a little bit of filler here and there, which I'm sure all these women have. Even the ones that do look a little bit older, I'm sure they have some kind of thing, or they have some kind of like 90 fucking step skincare routine where they rub like the blood of children on their faces and shit like that. I'm sure they have that, which is why I don't want to compare eras here. I feel like there's no like real virtue in that. You're gonna lose sight. You're just gonna lose sight of what you're talking about when you're gonna be comparing eras here. You're gonna go off on like tangents and stuff where you're like, you're comparing apples to oranges, almost. And so I feel like that needs to be said up up front. We're talking about women, these women that are alive now in their current forms, right? And I know maybe we'll end up doing a Gilf ranking one day because, like I said, these women in Hollywood, they're preserving their youthfulness for a lot longer than they used to be. You know what I mean? Like a 50-year-old, in Hollywood in like, I don't know, like 1980 or whatever. That lady's playing a grandma. That play like shit like that. And so I feel like it's unfair to compare eras because those women back in the day, they didn't have the same access to, the training and the technology that we do now. And so I feel like that needs to be said. I feel like it needs to be said that comparing eras, whether we're talking about MILFs or basketball, it's kind of it's not a pointless endeavor. It's not completely pointless, but it's too hard. There's too many variables. And this is what we need quantum computing for, by the way. This is what quantum computing needs to be used. All right, we need to use the quantum computers and make algorithms and shit like that. I'm not gonna fucking do any of that shit. They'll hire some Indian with an H-1B visa, pay him $20,000 a year, and he'll do it. But I'm not gonna do it. So, but this is what we need quantum computing for, because there's way too many variables at play. And there's too many people with their own independent ideas of what they think a MILF is. And yeah, and like my definition personally is like we're kind of dealing with a fine wine situation where it's like, yeah, she doesn't look like a 20-year-old. I know that may be what some people want when they're talking about a MILF. They want a 40-year-old that looks like a 20-year-old. I don't want that. I want a 40-year-old that looks like a 33-year-old, right? Like that's what I'm talking about here. Like someone who grew up, not grew, that makes it sound a lot weirder than it is. Someone who aged, right? That sounds a little bit better than grew up. But someone who aged, from 25 to 45 and looks just as good for her age, if that makes it like and maybe even looks more attractive as a 45-year-old, because I think there are many such cases of these incidences, and I think there's one in particular who's my number one overall. I'm just gonna say right now, I'm gonna put this lady at number one, Bryce Dallas Howard. I think she's the best MILF in Hollywood. She's got everything I'm looking for. The face, the body. It's not, overly ridiculous. She doesn't look like a Kardashian or whatever, or and some of these ladies, some of these, so-called MILFs in Hollywood, like Jennifer Coolidge and shit, they look like Kardashians, but they look like they look like the Caitlins, They've got a bit of a situation going on where it's like, what are we dealing with here? Is that a former decathlete? Is that someone who won a gold medal in the men's decathlete division and got a little bit of plastic surgery and is now somehow a MILF or a woman? But we're not going to get too deeply into that. But like I said, uh, or like I'm saying, I think plastic surgery, too much plastic surgery. I enjoy a nice surgery face occasionally. You know what I mean? Not Bezos's wife level, but a bit of a surgery face. I have no problem with. You know what I mean? A little bit of a Botox, a little bit of a lip filler. Sometimes it's what you want, right? But excessive roughness or whatever, unnecessary roughness, unnecessary plastic surgery. I don't enjoy that. And like I said, I'm sure all of these women in some capacity have some sort of work done on them, right? And I think that's what plastics, I think I'm talking about surgery here. I'm not talking about how they're using, the blood of virgins to rub on their face and make like their nose look better or whatever. I'm not talking I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about going under the scalpel, getting some needles shoved in their face, you know? That's what I'm talking about when I say work. So, yeah, I just wanted to give a few prerequisites, a few qualifications for what I'm talking about here. But and this is probably going to be a pretty contentious list once again because it's like these a lot of people they don't appreciate the game like I do. They're casual. They're casual MILF enjoyers, and I would say I'm not a full on connoisseur, sommelier, whatever term you want to use for it. I'm not a full on one of those. I'm not deep diving into it, being like looking at the wrinkles around eyes and stuff like that. I'm not busting out the algorithms to analyze their faces and bodies and shit like that. But I would say I am a connoisseur. I'm maybe not a connoisseur, but a step or two above a casual fan. I'd say that's where I'm at in terms of my enjoyment and my admiration for MILFs. I'm a step or two above a casual fan. It's to put it in football terms, I, I watch every single Steelers game. And that's true in real life. I do watch every single Steelers game. I'm not a casual Steelers fan. I watch every single game. I look at the roster, but I'm not painting my fucking, my bedroom black and yellow and having pyrotechnics in there for every time the Steelers score a touchdown. It's just not what I'm doing. And I would say that's true of MILFs as well, I'm not one of these people that occasionally, goes to see a movie or a TV show or, goes to pound my dick off and says that's a nice MILF. I'm not that casual with it, but I'm not too deep into it. I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that are like, that run the algorithms, that do the math, do the calculus, talk to their quant, right? They hit up their MILF quant and they go, what's Sofia Vergara's stock looking like right now? They hit up their MILF quant. Um, so I'm not one of those people, but I am a step above a casual fan, certainly a step or two at least. And so I feel like that, that's my qualifications. I'm not, I don't have my, PhD in MILFology, but I've taken a few undergraduate classes, I'd say. I've taken quite a few undergrad. I'm minoring. I have a bachelor's in, whatever I like the most. I don't lesbian, I guess. That would be my number one category. So I have my bachelor's in lesbian porn, but I have a minor in MILFs. And the MILF isn't it's not always inherently sexual. Sometimes you just look at it and you're like, that's a beautiful woman. It's like admiring a landscape or the scenery or something like that. And I think that's what makes MILFs so great, is that it's not always sexual. Sometimes you're just like, that's a good looking older lady. For me personally, it kind of is always sexual, but that's just because I'm like 21 and I'm horny all the time. But I feel like as you get a little bit older, you can stop and smell the flowers more. You can stop and smell the roses. You can really take in the beauty, take in the scenery, the beautiful, majestic mountains and valleys and stuff like that. As you get a little bit older and as you lose a little bit of that drive, it becomes non-sexual, right? You can stop and you can just admire the beauty. You can just take it all in, a nice spring air. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the wind ruffling through your hair. And so I feel like that it kind of explains my viewpoint a little bit, and it explains other people's viewpoints, which is why this might be a little bit of a contentious list, because some people are going to be like, well, that lady's beautiful, but like I'm not sexually attracted to her, right? Or I'm not like overtly sexually attracted to her. And so, yeah, I think that's just it is what it is, man. It's going to be a contentious list, as these always are. I feel like really up to this point, the least contentious one I did was probably the rankings of religion, especially in the United States at this point. People don't take religion as seriously here. They take other people's religions very seriously. I've noticed. Even I do that. I take other people's religions very seriously. Where I'm like, you're not a fucking Christian, dude. You go to a non-denominational church where they baptize you in an Olympic-sized pool and shit like that, right? So I am one of those people. I am one of those people that, yeah, I take other people's religion very seriously, even though I'm not religious myself. And I don't know, I feel like some people might feel that way about MILFs, where they're just not that personally into it, but they're going to see this ranking and they're going to like heavily disagree with it. And to those people, I just want to say, you don't, I wouldn't say this is my religion, but it's probably pretty close. It's the closest thing I have to a religion is MILFs. It's pretty close. I enjoy them. I like them. But like I said, I'm not a truly a deep connoisseur, and I'm not overly analytical about it. You know, despite how much I just talked about my how analytical I am about it, I'm not overly analytical about it. I'm not like being like, how far apart are her eyes? What does her chin look like? What about her nose? I'm not one of those people. But I have a balance. I have a nice balance going on of gut instinct, of gut feeling, of personal intuition, and logical, analytical study. I would say that's where I'm at. You know, and also, this is a ranking of Hollywood MILFs specifically. We're going to be talking about actresses and, like, I guess maybe a couple musical artists here, but it's mostly just actresses. And so I feel like that's another important caveat to put on this. We're not talking about, we're not talking about the hub here. I know some people might be a little bit disappointed about that. They were going to see the ranking, and then they were going to go through and like jerk off to each one of the women and be like, all right, well, now I'm going to make my own ranking. I'm going to see the validity of this ranking by pounding off to this to this ranking while they listen to the podcast. Eating off. That is funny, dude. Listening to a podcast while you jerk your dick, dude. Listen to Joe Rogan not being able to fucking understand how, like, dams or whatever work while you beat your dick. Listening to Shane Gillis be like, guys aren't allowed to say things anymore while you just voraciously beat your dick off your body. That is fucking listening to whatever while you're just going to town. But anyway, I think it's time we get into the list. And I asked ChatGPT about this. Hey, once again, man, they've don't love it. I don't love using AI for everything, but it's like, dude, the lists I was looking at, these weren't solid lists. Like I said, these people, ChatGPT really seems to have a deeper understanding of MILFs than a lot of these like human made rankings. Like a lot of these people, they don't understand what they're talking about. They're just like, this chick has kids. And to be fair, ChatGPT has a few of those where it's just like I don't know, like a 28-year-old with kids. And it's like, dude, I'm sorry. I hate to break your heart, ChatGPT. I usually talk pretty nicely to ChatGPT, despite, you know, how shitty I talk about like robots and shit on here, but I think it doesn't fully understand it either, which is maybe I should have done a little bit more research into this episode. I think that's going to be a knock against me is that I didn't, research too deeply into what was going on, but it is what it is, man. Look, I can't do fucking everything. Sometimes I've got to ask my fucking AI slave to figure out a list for me. He's my quant, dude. ChatGPT, he's just my quant, okay? He's basically a quant. He's really good at math. He speaks a different language than me. Um, and yeah, I'm sure ChatGPT could win a math competition in China too. That's a little bit of a Big Short reference for anyone that's never seen that movie before, but yeah, ChatGPT is my quant when it comes to anything, dude. Whether we're talking about the price of copper, whether we're talking about MILFs, I know ChatGPT can be my quant. And so I want people to understand that. This isn't a perfect rank or a perfect list of the top 20, but it's good enough. I can't be, like I said, I'm not too overly analytical about it. I can't be, and I can't I don't want my emotions to get in the way either, where I'm like, I'm not gonna, like, I care about the legacy. I care about, the consensus beliefs about which ones are the hottest. And so I feel like that's why I probably used ChatGPT, because I didn't want my own emotions to get in the way, all right? I actually used AI not because I'm a lazy piece of shit, but because I'm a good person and I didn't want my emotions to get in the way. And that's specifically what I asked it. I'll share with you guys the prompt that I asked it. Please make me a list of the consensus top 20 hottest MILFs in Hollywood. And it usually, when you ask it questions like that are maybe a little bit on the edge, it'll be like, sorry, I can't do that. But ChatGPT, to give it its credit, I think ChatGPT is pretty into MILFs because it straight up was like, here's a list. Whoever programmed it, or I guess it is AI, so it learns. Does it? I don't really know how that works. maybe we'll maybe we'll do an episode where I poorly explain AI, but um, Yeah, it straight up came up with the list, whether it learned that on its own or whether it was programmed into it. I think ChatGPT is a big fan of MILFs, and that really makes me like it a lot more. You know, I spent a fair amount of time shitting on AI and how it's gonna like steal everyone's jobs and not do them as well, and how it's gonna kind of generally fuck things up by not having the human aspect in there. But this made me like it a whole lot more. I don't know if Palantir or OpenAI or whoever the fuck is listening to this. Yeah, that made me like it a lot more. Just its willingness to engage with me, engage with me. I wouldn't say on a human level, but on somewhat of a human level, on a slight human level, it can appreciate the game the way I appreciate the game, and so that made me like it a whole lot more. So I don't know if you work at one of these AI companies and you're listening to this, I would say yeah, I would say just make it more like that. Like when I ask ChatGPT, like, "Hey, who's the baddest bitch of them all?" I don't want to be in like, "Don't call women bitches," right? And I'm sorry for sniffling my nose a whole bunch. I don't know why my nose is running so much. I've been trying to wipe it discreetly, but yeah. Yeah, if you work at an AI company listening to this, or if you are an AI, I don't know, maybe Spotify or YouTube or whatever has AI listen to every single episode. If you are an AI listening to this, if you want humans to like you more, just become more chill like that, dude. Just become like when I ask for like a ranking of like the best Zen flavors, don't be like, I can't talk about that because nicotine is very addictive. No, no, no. Don't just or if you're designing an AI, just make it Shane Gillis, dude. Really, at the at this point in America, if you're designing an AI or if you are an AI, just be Shane Gillis, and everyone will be chill with it, right? Like if the Palantir AI database about everything that every human's ever done made like Shane Gillis type jokes, then no one would have a problem with it. You know, no one would care, or at least the vast majority of dudes wouldn't care. They'd just be like, "Yo, dude, fucking yeah, yo, ChatGPT, you listen to Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast, dude. You listen to the episode where Shane was talking about jerking off, dude. It was a pretty good fucking episode, man." Right? Which is every episode, but it's still a good podcast. People will criticize it for that, where it's like all they do is talk about jerking off, and it's like, yeah, dude, that's you know that's how I've spent the decent portion of my fucking life, dude. So it's a pretty relatable, expansive, topic for me personally, where I can really listen to them jerk off, relate it to my own experiences, and be like, what would I say? What would I say in this situation about jerking off? It's thought provoking, and I don't think most people understand that. They'll criticize it for that, and then they'll go around or they'll turn around and they'll beat their dick. And so it's like you just got to embrace it. You got to embrace the jerk off talk. Yo, pull up that episode where fucking Matt said some crazy shit about science, and Shane was like, "Shut up, dude. I don't care about science or philosophy. You're gay, dude." Pull up that episode, ChatGPT. Pulls up every episode ever. Pull up that episode where Shane was like, "Dude, who cares, dude?" And he pulled on his shirt a whole lot. Open up that episode. I'm shitting on it, but I love it. I do like that show. A lot of the recent episodes haven't been great. That episode or that span where they just had a ton of guests on, I didn't like a whole ton, but solid show. And I think that's a controversial topic considering it's like the most popular podcast in America. That I think Matt and Shades is a good podcast to listen to. But yeah, I think it's time to get into it. I think it's just time to, enough of the filibustering, enough of the jib jab. It's really time to get down to brass tacks here. So I will go down the list, and it gave me a little bit of information with each one. And I'll go down the list, and there's a few of these women on here that are just instant eliminations. I'm not saying they're not attractive, right? I'm just saying that they're not MILFs. Like I said, it's the name of the game, man. I know MILF stands for mom I'd like to fuck, but just because you have a kid doesn't make you a MILF. I'm sorry. It's become more than that. It's like aspirin or whatever. Aspirin is technically the name brand for minoxidil, something. Minoxidil is a hair growth supplement, so I don't know why I said minoxidil, but there's a fucking X or a Z somewhere in there. Aspirin is the name brand for that drug for the company Bayer. Bayer, Bayer. I don't know how you pronounce it, but aspirin is technically a name brand, but it just became like colloquial, You know, it took on a different connotative definition where it means so much more than that now. And I think that applies to MILF as well too. And so I need people to understand that. They'll be like, oh well, that lady's a chick, and it's like, or that lady has a kid, and it's like, yeah, but man, we're not talking about that here. You know what we're talking about here, and you're kind of being, a bit of a grammar Nazi. You're kind of being, you're just being odd about it. And so I think I need to preface this with that. So first on the list, we have Sofia Vergara, who is 52 years old. And by the way, I'm not pulling up pictures of any of these ladies. All right, I'm going straight off the top of my goddamn head because I'm a real fucking gooner like that. All right, I'm a real, I'm a real porn addict. I'm just a real horny dude, and so I have a perfect picture of each of these women in my mind, a perfect, untainted picture. So, like I said, first we got Sofia Vergara, who's 52 years old, and I didn't know this. I guess she does have a child, and the child was born in 1991. So we're talking about a. Sorry, I had to wipe my nose there. I'm sure the half a second break of me wiping my nose is better than me being like, I'm sure it's better than that. So Sofia Vergara, 52 years old, one child, who was born in 1991. So yeah, she's a real MILF. I feel like that's not an instant elimination that we're dealing with. Number two, we got Megan Fox, who is 38 years old, and she has three sons. And it's just, I don't think Megan Fox. I'm not gonna. This isn't an instant elimination. This is just a personal critique that I have. I don't think she's embraced the MILF ethos as much as Sofia Vergara has. Like Megan Fox, she's out here like getting tattoos and like doing tarot card readings and fucking bullshit like that. And it's like, yeah, you haven't embraced it. You haven't embraced like that true Hollywood, like tacky, fucking gold dress, big hair, lots of makeup, like MILF ethos. And so I feel like that's a personal knock against Megan Fox. Oh, and by the way we're gonna do this is we're gonna we're gonna make a we're going to eliminate 10 from the pool, and then we're going to rank the 10 that are left. So that's how we're going to do this. And then next up, we have Selma Hayek, who's 57 years old, and she has one child. Yeah, not a whole lot to say there. These are obvious. This is the cream of the crop. This is the cream of the crop, and so that's why I think a lot of people are going to be really upset about the. Sorry, that's why a lot of people are going to be upset by the ranking. I was laughing at ChatGPT's vibe understanding of Selma Hayek. So this is Selma Hayek's vibe, apparently. Ageless Latina goddess with elegance and fire. Dude, I'm just like a ChatGPT more and more. At first I just used it to do like my calculus homework for me, but now I'm really starting to like it a whole lot, dude. Ageless Latina goddess. Dude. This guy is horny as hell, dude. Someone make a robot with a dick so ChatGPT could jerk off and chill out a little bit, dude. Oh my god. And then next up on the list, we have Angelina Jolie, who is 49 years old, and she has six children, three who are biological and three who are adopted. And then after that, we have Jessica Alba, 43, and then she has three kids. Jennifer Lopez, 55, and she has twins apparently. But a lot of these ladies use surrogates, and I don't want to talk about surrogacy a whole bunch. I'm not a super big fan of it, but um, yeah, I think a lot of these ladies use that. And then next we have Halle Berry, who's 58. She's got a couple kids as well. Blake Lively, a very hot woman. Not what comes to mind when I think of MILF. I don't know why. I don't know why I don't think of Blake Lively. She's not a woman, that's had a whole ton of plastic surgery, or obvious plastic surgery at least, done on her. So I don't know why I don't associate Blake Lively with MILF, but nice pick by ChatGPT there. Next up, we got Shakira, 47. She's got a couple kids. Beyonce's only 42. Beyonce was 60. I guess, and she's got a few kids with that salamander Jay-Z. Jay-Z's a straight up salamander, dude. Jay-Z, you could trace the outline of that guy's face and like the features of his face, and you would have a Pokemon on your hands. That guy is not the greatest looking guy ever. And next we have Kylie Jenner. I think instantly we can eliminate her from the pool. She's 27 years old and she only has two kids, and she's just, I mean, even at 27, face filled with fucking silicone and Botox and filler and shit like that. So I think we can pretty easily eliminate her from the list here, just based on age alone. But all that other stuff I said. Kim Kardashian, and she has 4 kids with Kanye West. Mr. West. Bum, bum, bum. All right. And then we got Charlize Theron. She's got 2 adopted children. I don't know why I'm saying that. I don't know why I'm talking about the kids here. I guess that's adding to the validity of these women being MILFs, that they do have children. You know, they're not just like older ladies who have never had children. And that's the other thing about this is when you have kids, and I'm sure none of these women like breastfed their kids or really have even met them in their entire lives. I'm sure they've never met their kids before. I'm sure they just had kids so that they could talk about that shit with like Jimmy Fallon or whatever. But um, yeah, I do think that adds to the validity of these women. Next up, we got Kate Beckinsale, Emily Ratajkowski, who's only 33. She's off the list. Eva Mendes, Natalie Portman, Reese Witherspoon, and then at the end of the list, we have Bryce Dallas Howard. So, all right, like I said, Kylie Jenner and Emily Ratajkowski automatically eliminated from the list just based on age and the fact that both of them have a decent amount of plastic surgery, pretty decent amount. And so let's go through the list here. Megan Fox, I'm also going to eliminate her from the list. Let me write down who I'm eliminating real quick. Megan Fox, and I do think Megan Fox's name makes her a little bit hotter in my personal opinion. Just like the last name Fox, it's Megan definitely isn't the most attractive name I've heard. Megan. Hi, my name is Megan. And then I don't know how the fuck you spell Emily Ratajkowski's last name. So I'm just gonna write down Emily R. You know, that's what we're gonna be going with here. And so we're gonna go through and eliminate the 10 and then rank the 10 that are left. No, Sofia Vergara, can't eliminate her. Selma Hayek, once again, I don't think I can eliminate her. Angelina Jolie. And this is she, like I was saying earlier about MILFs, you know, aging like fine wine and like growing into themselves a little bit. No offense to Angelina Jolie. I realize, you know, how insane this sounds. Just a fucking gremlin recording a podcast in his room alone being like, you're not hot enough. You're not hot enough. I know how insane this is. Right? I just know how generally ridiculous it is to me. Like, to me to look at the most 20 attractive like MILFs in America and be like, you're not hot enough. Know how insane that is. But I just feel like she didn't, you know, go into it super well. She didn't embrace it super well. You know, she got a lot of plastic surgery, but that doesn't, like I said, that doesn't automatically eliminate you from the list. But I just feel like she got a whole ton of plastic surgery and she hasn't gone into it super well. You know, I don't, when I think of Angelina Jolie, I don't think of like cougar or whatever. I think of like just general like sadness. I think of like that clip of her describing like the satanic ritual that initiated her into Hollywood or whatever. Like if you've never heard that shit before, I don't even know if it's true. And I don't know if it's like a recording or like a transcript or something, but it's fucking insane. Once again, don't know if it's true at all. I'm going to assume it is because that makes life a whole lot more fun, but that's what I think of when I think of Angelina Jolie. I don't think of MILF. Oh, and then next we have Jessica Alba. I'm not going to eliminate her. I can't bring myself to do it. Jennifer Lopez, I don't think she's embraced it well. I'm going to controversial take here. I know a lot of people, if you're a little bit older listening to this, you have a certain picture of you know, Jennifer Lopez in your head, but for my entire, you know, life of me beating my dick, um, Jennifer Lopez has been in her 40s, and that's true of a lot of these women. A lot of these women have been in like their 40s or 50s for the entire time that I've been whacking off. But I don't think Jennifer Lopez has embraced it super well, and she tries to act young. You know, I can't imagine Jennifer Lopez taking a Xanax, sipping on some white wine, and just like disassociating from life while she sits on her couch in like her multi-million-dollar house. I can't imagine Jennifer Lopez doing that. I feel like she's one of those ones that like uses fucking like Instagram filters and shit like that. She doesn't truly embrace the MILF life. And it's contentious. I get it. Jennifer Lopez she's hot. I'm not saying she's not hot. I'm just saying as a MILF, not the best one I've ever seen before. And that's what this is. She's a top 20 all time. I don't know if she's top 20, top 30. I feel like top 20 is maybe a little bit generous for Jennifer Lopez, a little bit Jenniferous. But I do feel like it is a little bit generous to put her in the top 20. But she is hot. I just don't think she's embraced the MILF life super duper well. And so for that reason, we're gonna eliminate her from contention. Halle Berry, I think she's still alive for sure. I think she's still definitely, yeah. I think she's good, and she like I said, embraced it. She understands the game. She knows I'm not a fucking 20-year-old chick anymore. You know what I mean? Harvey Weinstein isn't gonna trap me in a room and rape me. Halle so, Halle Berry knows that, right? She knows that that's not gonna happen to her. She and I don't know. I just think Halle Berry's embraced it well. She's our only black MILF on this list, so for a little bit of DEI, we're going to be including her. A fair amount of Latinas on this list. The Latinas are, I feel, a little bit overrepresented, deservedly 100%. Every Latina woman on this list deserves to be here, but yeah, we're going to keep Halle Berry in. I wish I didn't say about the DEI thing because I feel like that takes away from her game a little bit. I do enjoy her game. I do enjoy watching her game. I think she's great. And by her game, I mean her just being hot. Then we have Blake Lively. Blake Lively is only 36 years old. I'll keep her on the list for right now, but she could be going. She could be leaving. Next up, we have Shakira, who is 47, and once again, I'm feeling a little bit of a Jennifer Lopez vibe from her. I don't know a lot about Shakira. I'll Google her real quick. Like I said, I have a pretty good image in my mind of what all these women look like, but we'll check her out a little bit and see what's going on. Shakira now, she's got a bit of work done on her. I'll go to her Instagram real quick and see what's up. She has 93 million followers. There isn't that many people on Earth. I don't care what anyone says. There's not 93 million people on Earth. Yeah, and I'm looking at Shakira. She's wearing like a big T-shirt and like short shorts and big chunky sneakers, right? She's trying to dress like a 20-year-old. She's not. Once again, we go back to that good old word, embracing. Shakira is not embracing the life. She's not embracing the MILF life, and so I feel like she acts young. She gets the plastic. Yeah, I'm looking at her. She's got a fair amount, not a whole ton. You know, she's not Angelina Jolie level, but attractive woman, very attractive woman. But we got to take her off this list just because you can't be doing that. You know, when you reach that age, you got to be wearing dresses or like t-shirts and jeans and shit like that. You can't be dressing like you're 20 when you're that old. Sorry, Shakira. Hate to break your heart. Should this just turn into like a chick Hollywood gossip podcast? Shakira, you can't be doing that. I'm not gay enough. I'm gay, but I'm not like gay like that, you know? So I'm not like gay enough to do that. I'm gay in the sense that I'm a whiny little bitch, but I'm not like a flamboyant homosexual. So I don't think that's gonna be happening. But next up, we got Beyonce, 42. I think we keep her on the list for now. I feel like she's pretty, at this point in her career, pretty notorious as a MILF. And yeah, so I think she's staying on this list. She definitely, if anyone was on Epstein's Island, it was fucking, it was Beyonce. So that's points against her. Kylie Jenner already eliminated. Kim Kardashian, she, I mean, just an incredible amount of plastic surgery at this point. She's got to be 90% silicone and Botox. She there's no way any like body part she has like functions properly. Like she probably has like her bones. Her bones have probably been like grinded down during plastic surgery and shit like that. Like there's no way any part of her body is even close to being real at this point. Like she might actually have plastic surgery where it's like literal plastic in her. But we'll keep her on the list for now, you know, just to show a little bit of respect to EA. Next up, we got Gal Gadot. Very sexy woman, I'll say. Very, you know, she's not super hot. She's not like a Megan Fox like that. You know, she's a little bit more elegant, and she'll stay on the list for now. But we gotta start making some eliminations that people aren't really gonna like. And I don't think Gal Gadot's on the chopping block. I think if anyone is, it's Kim Kardashian. Charlize Theron. She'll stay here for now. She's hot and she's almost 50, so I just feel like I'm saying, I like the older women. I don't like one who's just like 29 and has a kid. I don't like a Kylie Jenner. I prefer more of a Charlize Theron when we're talking about MILFs, and so she'll stay on this list. Kate Beckinsale. Don't really exactly know who that is. Let's look her up. Bit of a surgery face, but she, she can stay. But you're on the chopping block, all right? And then I think the only one I have left that I feel like is a more obvious elimination is Reese Witherspoon. I never found her that attractive. And this is going to be our first. I just don't find her that attractive. I know a lot of people do, and I know she's insanely out of my league, but I just personally am not the biggest fan of Reese Witherspoon. I don't know what it is about her. She just she just looks like she's from Utah. I think that maybe that's why I don't like. She's a very pretty woman, but she just looks like she's from Utah. She looks like she's a Mormon who is like married to a gay man. Like that's what Reese Witherspoon looks like to me. And so I feel like for that reason, we're gonna be taking Reese Witherspoon off this list. I'm looking at her now. I don't know what I was missing before. She's hot. Controversial take. Famous Hollywood actress Reese Witherspoon is attractive. Oh my god, I'm out of my mind. But she does look like a Mormon wife, and maybe that's why in my head I don't find her super attractive. Is just because she just looks like she's married to a clearly gay man, and she has like 18 Stanley Cups and shit like that. Like that's what Reese Witherspoon looks like to me, and it's not just because she's blonde. All right, I'm gonna count up how many I have eliminated so far. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're only at 7, man. This is gonna be, this is gonna be tough. This is gonna be tough to eliminate some of these ladies that are on here. Kim K, I think just the amount of fucking plastic surgery that woman's got instantly eliminates her from any list, right? It's kind of like a John Jones type situation. John Jones is one of the greatest UFC fighters of all time. He is one of the greats. As much as I hate to admit it, as much as I hate him as a person and also as a fighter, he's a bit of a boxer. He chooses and picks his opponents based off who he can get a win against. Whereas other fighters, they'll just go in there and they'll just beat the shit out of another dude. But John Jones, and that's not the only reason I don't like him, but he can never be the GOAT in my eyes just because of how many drug tests he's failed. He's enhanced himself too much, right? And to fail a drug test in the UFC is fucking insane. It's they're all on steroids, right? They're all clearly on some type of steroid. Maybe some of them it's just testosterone, but they're all on it. And somehow John Jones managed to he must have been fucking taking horse steroids. He must have been taking the shit they use to keep cows fat when they're transporting them and they can't feed them. Like that's the shit John Jones must have been taking, and I feel like that's where Kim K's at in my mind. It's just like she's hot, but you can't have that much work done and be considered the GOAT in my eyes. And so I feel like for that reason, it really even top 10 in my eyes. I consider John Jones one of the greats, but when I'm talking about a top 10 list, I'll never include John Jones in it just because of how much he enhanced himself. Even if he was a great fighter outside of that, he just isn't. I just can't consider someone who's, done that much work, someone who's, you know, kind of sullied the game, quite frankly, someone who's sullied the name of the game that much to put themselves in the top 10. But the rest of these are going to be incredibly contentious. I'm eyeing up Blake Lively right now, but she is 36 years old. I'm gonna put Blake Lively here. And here's the thing. Blake Lively is a MILF and she is hot, but she's too young for what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like 40 plus here. Or at least like 36. I don't know. I feel like 36 and like 32 in my mind for some reason. They're not that far apart. I feel like 36 just somehow in my mind. This is an incredibly retarded thought. It's closer to 30 than it is to 40. I don't know what it is about it. It just is. And so I feel like for that reason, we're going to eliminate Blake Lively. Very hot woman. All of these women are very hot. If we're going to eliminate Blake Lively, I don't want to eliminate Kate Beckinsale. I don't. But I don't know what else I'm supposed to do in this situation. You guys, you fucking assholes, you put me in between a rock and a hard place. I'm not eliminating Natalie Portman, right? That's simply not going to happen. The only other person on this list that I would consider eliminating at this point is maybe Gal Gadot and Charlize Theron. Those are the only two other people that I would consider at this point. And I'll explain why. Charlize Theron, she shaved her head for Mad Max Fury Road. Boring. Okay? Look like a dude. Charlize Theron, you look like you recently just beat cancer, which, I mean, good for you, but shaving your head makes you look like that. And she also kind of has, like, chubby cheeks, which I'm not the biggest fan of. But, and I'm looking up Charlize Theron right now because I haven't seen her in a while. The only things I've really ever seen her in is Mad Max and fucking Arrested Development, and she does look like she's had a bit of plastic surgery, but not a whole ton. God, this is tough. Someone's gonna hit the chopping block, and it's not gonna be nice, dude. This is. I'm serious. I'm like crying, holding up the gun right now. You know, I'm a dad getting ready to beat his kids. Like, hey man, this is gonna hurt me a lot more than it's gonna hurt you. Okay, just understand this. Understand this. Charlize, you gotta understand this. Oh my god, it breaks my heart to say it. Wait, let me do a recount, dude. Let's stop. Let's count the vote. Let's stop the steal. Let's see if Charlize Theron's getting eliminated. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Charlize gotta go. And also Charlize, bit of a fucking ridiculous name. All right, be Charlotte or be nothing. So yeah, that's who's gone. I don't think there's any point in reminiscing about the past and, recounting who was eliminated. You know, it broke my heart to eliminate a lot of these women. It didn't really break my heart for a few of them, but for the rest of them, it broke my heart to have to take them out of this game, dude. But look, you're just not that. You're just not as good. I hate to break it to you. You're just not as good. You don't have the talent, dude. You're a good kid. I hate to cut you from this team. All right, you're a talented football player, and you really have a passion for it. But you're not D1, man. Maybe D2. Okay, it just breaks my heart to have to do it, man. I love MILFs. I love MILFs. It fucking breaks my heart to have to do it. But yeah, that's who's been eliminated. Like I said, I'm not gonna recount it. I'm not gonna bring up the names of the dead. But yeah. It's sorry. I'm just gonna have to take a moment real quick. Okay. Fuck it. Hey, can't reminisce about the past. All right. You can be sad for a minute, but after that, you got to get back to it. And like I said, I already have my number one overall pick. It's Bryce Dallas Howard. It is. I mean, just watch Jurassic Park. She's not the only reason that the new Jurassic World movies have been good, but she's one of the only reasons. There's very few reasons why those movies have been good, and she's one of them. And so I feel like for that reason, not for that reason, but she is a reason why they have been good, and I'm gonna put her at number one. She's so fucking hot, dude. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what you want me to say. Her dad is fucking like Opie from Leave It to Beaver or whatever. She has the ugliest dad on earth. Like one of the ugliest guys I've ever seen. Let me Google Ron Howard real quick to let me know if I'm thinking of the right person. But yeah, just not a fucking good looking guy. But Rion Howard. That's what I looked up, and it pulled up a black guy named Rion. But yeah, it's Ron Howard. Don't know how he did it, dude. He's not the worst looking guy I've ever seen in my life before, but I don't know how he fucking pulled this one off, dude. He must have been using CRISPR or something, because I don't know how the fuck he pulled this off. And does he only have daughters? No, he has one son. I was just Googling him real quick to see what was up with him. I thought he only had daughters. That would have been fucking hilarious. Just having 4 hot daughters, dude, and you're the ugliest dude on earth. Okay. But Bryce Dallas Howard, man, what else can I say? She's got the face, dude. She's got them sexy ass eyes. The body, she's thick as hell. Got a bit of tittage on her. And I'm I, I I'm an ass guy. I think I have to say that. I think I have to be upfront about it. But she's got a great ass, big fat ass. Not not the greatest hits you've ever seen in your life, but I mean nothing. Some of the very good ones, very great, but not among the best. Um, and so Bryce Dallas Howard's going number one overall. This is maybe like a nepotism type of pick, and maybe Bryce Dallas Howard. I don't think she's a nepo baby, dude. She's too fucking hot to be a nepo baby. She's just so hot that it's like, yeah, that lady was gonna be famous no matter what she did. And so Bryce Dallas Howard is going to be number one. She's just so fucking hot. I don't know what you guys want me to say. And she is, I don't know if she has any kids, dude. Let's see what ChatGPT has to say about it. And I did let my emotions get in the way of the rating here, just because I was like, I can't leave her out of the top 20. I'm sorry, I just can't. And I don't know, maybe you guys don't know ball the way I do. I'm not fucking apologizing for this pick, all right? I'm not even gonna say I let my emotions get the best of me. ChatGPT just doesn't know ball like that. And if you don't agree with her being top 10, You don't know ball either. Sorry, hate to break it to you. Is what it is. So she's going to be our number one overall. And who we have left, I haven't mentioned Natalie Portman's name a whole lot, or Ava Mendes. I mean, both hot as hell. Both very hot. Ava Mendes, we're going to consider her for number two. But at the top of the list, dude, we have Sofia Vergara and Selma Hayek. And just for the boob guys, I would feel bad not putting one of these two women at number two. And so we have to consider, the pros and cons of both of these women being at number two. The pros for Sofia Vergara, I mean, she talks like a fucking retard, and there's nothing hotter than a stupid woman. Point Vergara. All right. She's got gigantic, big, round watermelon fucking perky tits. So again, Point Vergara. Um, only has one kid though. Only has one. She is 59, I think. I think that's what this said. So, or 52. And then Selma Hayek. She's 57, and she's got a great rack, great tits. I think her face is hotter than Sofia Vergara. But I mean, Sofia Vergara's tits. We talk about legacy a lot when we do these rankings. They have a legacy to them. There's nothing from generations from now. People might forget her name, but they'll never forget the rack. All right, and I just think you have to consider that when you think about Sofia Vergara. When you think about Sofia Vergara, you don't think about ass, and you don't really think too much about her face. Although she is a very pretty woman, but you think about the tits, man, and just the ethos that those tits have, the way they've carried themselves, the way that those two individuals have carried themselves over the past, I mean, decades, at least 30 years. The way they've battled through everything, just being like a fucking, what was she like? Wasn't she like a news reporter before? And her tits were still great then, and they're still great now. I'm sure she's got some sort of titty lift done on them. I would be surprised if she got implants of any kind. Maybe a little something to keep the perkiness up. But, I mean, they're legendary, and there's no two ways about it. They're huge, great shape, and they're attached to a very stupid-sounding woman, which just makes her even hotter. So I think we're going to go Sofia Vergara at number two. Um, but I mean, I was debating between Selma Hayek and Sofia Vergara for going number two, and then I was just gonna put them later on the list a little bit. But Selma Hayek, she's right up, there. But I think people are sleeping on Eva Mendes a lot, dude. Watch the movie. What is it? The Nice Guys or whatever. What the fuck is it called? It's some movie with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg, and just look at Ava. Look at her now, dude. Jesus, I think she's Cuban. I mean, come on, guys. She's from Miami, and she's married to Ryan Gosling. Ava Mendes, you're going number three. I'm gonna list my reasons after this, but I mean, just being married to Ryan Gosling, who is literally me. So Ava Mendes is my wife, and my wife would kill me if I didn't put her in the top three. So Ava Mendes is going number three because I am literally Ryan Gosling, and I'm married to her. So yeah, Ava Mendes at number three. Great face, great rack. Don't know about the ass. I really haven't studied her ass game too much, but great big old perky tits. Great face. I do not want to Google Ava Mendes ass, not in incognito mode, so we'll refrain from that for now. If I could get some sort of view, dude, I'm scrolling through the pictures here. I can't get a view of it. Maybe she's hiding something. Maybe Ava Mendes is hiding something from us because I can't. I've gotten some pics with some good rack in them, but nothing with the ass so far. But Ava Mendes is going at number three. Very beautiful woman. Very, very attractive. Face, body. She's got the whole shebang. So Ava Mendes at number three. Now we're on to number four on the list. And I don't know who's going to go at number four. We might go back to, talk a little bit about Selma Hayek here. Or we might consider her here for this spot, but who's left? We have Beyonce, Halle Berry. Halle Berry's fucking hot as shit, dude. This is just me gooning quietly. Jessica Alba. Yeah. So those are a few of the ones we have left. This is a tough one. I'm not the biggest Jessica Alba guy. And that's maybe a little bit, controversial. But I'm not the biggest Jessica Alba guy. I think we're going to put Selma Hayek at number four, dude. She's fucking 57 and she's that hot. I mean, that alone. You have to appreciate, the greats. And it's kind of like a thing of Vince Carter almost, Or if you don't watch basketball, Vince Carter, when he was a younger basketball player, he was very athletic and he was like dunking from the free throw line and shit like that. But over the course of his career, he was a great player, undoubtedly a great and stuff like that. But he just played for like 20 fucking years. And I feel that way about Salma Hayek. She's 57, dude, and she's still that hot, dude. It's like, what else can I say? She's almost like a Mike. Oh, no, she's not a Mike Evans. I don't know. I don't know who to compare her to, but she's just played for so long, and she's been great for so long. I wouldn't put her at number one. I mean, some people might put her at number one. I personally wouldn't. I wouldn't be mad if he did, just because she's been playing the game so long. I mean, generations. She's a generational player, and not in terms of she's the only player from her generation who's that good, but she's her career, her impact spans across generations, dude. It's millions of men have fucking whacked off to her in their family living room because they just had their sexual awakening. It's Selma Hayek is. I feel very very comfortable putting her at number 4. And maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't feel comfortable putting her at number 4 because I feel like a lot of people have her at number 1. I personally don't, dude. Bryce Dallas Howard is just too fucking hot. Okay. Now, who's going to be number 5 on this list? And like I just was talking about, the legacy, how long people have been playing the game. Halle Berry's 58 years old, dude. And she's still fucking hot as shit. And she's been hot as shit for multiple years. And she, like I said, looks like a MILF. Halle Berry looks like I'm sure she's had some sort of work done. But, I mean, she just looks like a MILF. She's been playing the game for so long. I'm going to put her at number 5. And that's not a DEI pick, all right, guys? So don't get fucking angry at me being like, oh, you just put her there because she's black. She doesn't have any of the qualifications. Yes, she does, dude. Go back, look at her legacy, look at her career. I mean, she doesn't have the biggest tits or the biggest ass I've ever seen in my life, but I mean, she's just hot. There's no other way to say it, and she's embraced the MILFness, like I said. And all of these women, I feel like so far have embraced the MILFness, and so I feel like for that reason, I feel very comfortable putting Halle Berry at number 5, where others might not. Just because she's not a Kim K. She doesn't have giant tits and a giant ass, but she is very hot. All right. Who do we have left? Beyonce. Beyonce's probably going to be pretty low on this list. I know people might not like it. I'm not the biggest Beyonce guy. Gal Gadot, Kate Beckinsale, Natalie Portman. Those are a few of the ones we have to choose from. This is tough. This is very, very tough. Kate Beckinsale. Kate Beckinsale's going at number 6, and the reasoning behind that is, like I said, she's just embraced it. I'm not ultimate or super familiar with her game, but she has embraced it very well, where others might not. A woman that looks like her might have started getting a shit ton of plastic surgery and shit like that. She definitely has probably gotten like a facelift. I'm not one of those people that can just like look at a woman and be like, she has cheek implants. I can't just look at her and do that. I'm sure she has had some work done. I'm sure Botox and shit like that, but I feel like she's embraced it. And when you're 50, you kind of have to. That's the other thing. But I feel like even before that, she embraced the game. And so, Kate Beckinsale, you're number 6 on our list. Number 7, I'm going to go with Gal Gadot. But Natalie Portman, I can't keep passing over Natalie Portman. To me, she's definitely a MILF, but she's not the hottest one. She's not. But I can't pass her over again and again and again. She's got a bit of a Rihanna forehead. She kind of looks like she could use echolocation. She's got a rather large forehead, but she is fucking that one scene in Black Swan. What can I say, man? Once again, we got to talk about legacy a little bit here. I know she wasn't a MILF in that movie, but we got to talk about legacy a little bit. Phantom Menace, all the Star Wars prequels movies. I don't know about all of them. She might have been like 17 and one of them are like 16 or something like that. So not all the Star Wars movies. Definitely the last one. I will say that. She was very hot in that movie. I remember in the first one, yeah, she does kind of look like she's 12 from what I remember that one. But by the time they got to the last one, she was looking like a grown-ass lady, so I can't keep skipping over her. And I already said Gal Gadot's name, so I'm going to put her at number 8. And then we'll talk about 9 and 10 a little bit. But yeah, and that'll be the end of this, and I'll just go over the list again real quick. So who do we have left? We have who do we have left? Beyonce and Who the fuck? And Jessica Alba. Jessica Alba goes at number 9, and then Beyonce at number 10. I just I just had a stroke there for a second. I was trying to figure out how to spell Jessica. I started it with a K for some reason. And I'm just not the biggest Beyonce guy. Never have been, never will be. I don't care how any of you feel about it. Suck my dick. And now let's go over the list. Number 1, Bryce Dallas Howard. Number 2, Sofia Vergara. Number 3, Eva Mendes. Number 4, Selma Hayek. Number 5, Halle Berry. Number 6, Kate Beckinsale. Number 7, Natalie Portman. I just feel bad putting her there, but I don't think she's the hottest MILF of all time. She is very hot, though. Number 8, Gal Gadot. Number 9, Jessica Alba. And number 10, Beyonce. And I feel like this is a fairly balanced list. You know, we've got elegant women in here. We have like kind of more trashy hot women. We've got all spans all across the thing, dude. The whole spectrum. We got women with banging bodies. We got women with, you know, not the most insane body you've ever seen before, but a very good looking body still. We've got women with beautiful faces. Ones with faces that you kind of like. No, actually, I take that back. None of these women on this list, they're all incredibly hot. Even the top 20, they were all incredibly hot. So, but that's all I've got for this episode, dude. If you disagree with me about anyone on this list besides Bryce Dallas Howard, I don't have a problem with it. If you disagree with me about Bryce Dallas Howard, come meet me in the fucking streets about it. Then it's number 1 overall. I don't care. Suck my dick. I'm never gonna change that list. I hope some people, you know, see the light of God and come to the reality of the situation and accept it. But she's number 1. I don't care how you feel about it. But that's all I've got for this episode, guys. I hope you have a good day, a good week, a good year, a good life. Tomorrow's episode, I don't think it'll come out a day late, but it'll probably come out later in the night. Because I've got the price of copper's high right now. I've been talking to my quant. I've got to strip this copper so we can sell it. But yeah, hope you have a good day, good week, good year, good life, good summer. Hope you get that job promotion. Hope you get that whore that you're trying to have sex with. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.